Today on Locked On Rockies, 4-1 on the road.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 25th day of April. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Rockies podcast 5 days a week, proudly part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen as well. Today's episode of the Locked On Rockies podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Today on Locked On Rockies, we have it's all about the road performance today. We're going to recap the weekend, but we're mostly going to talk about and emphasize the importance of the Rockies starting 4-1. How big of a deal is it, and how big of a deal is it that we are getting some performances from the new Rockies? This is this weekend started off. This weekend had classic Road Rockies written all over it. Rain leads into a doubleheader, and I don't have any evidence or anything like that on this. This is a Paul Holden speculation take right here. Let me put that, brand it, put it on. Let me put it here. But it just feels like the Rockies are usually really bad in doubleheaders. I'm sure I can do some more research. I don't want to frantically Google right now, but I just have it burned in my brain, especially after last year when the Rockies would struggle to score runs. Sometimes they would play 2 games in a day, even the 7 innings, a little bit shorter, and the Rockies wouldn't score. And I was like, all right, I hope the Rockies, let's hope Miggy comes up, gets the hit out of the way. Let's get the ball game moving. Let's get the Rockies back into it, and let's let the Rockies get into a position, to start this road trip off right. Well, that's not how it happened. We got a full look. We got the look, the widescreen IMAX HD full edition of the Road Rockies in that first game. I mean, Detroit hit everything. Every single time they would swing the bat, it seemed like they were hitting the ball into play. It was just miserable. It was awful. It was so frustrating to watch the Rockies just get singled to death. And then it was just like, wow, Senza wasn't doing it. Then the bullpen wasn't doing it. And they were continued to hit and score and run around. And the Rockies, look, it kind of in my stomach. I said, oh boy, here we go again. Oh boy. This is the exact opposite, the literal worst way that this road trip could have started. Starting pitching falls apart. The bullpen shows cracks in the foundation still, and the Rockies can't hit. The Rockies couldn't drive anybody in, couldn't get anybody to score, and they're shut out in the first game of the road trip. But then the Rockies come back. The Rockies come back, and they win a game, a close game, a game that the Rockies had a commanding lead, or not a commanding, I shouldn't say, but the Rockies had the lead for most of the game, scoring early, pitchers duel, and the Rockies win this game with only 3 hits. A rarity. That would be the Road Rockies getting extremely lucky last year. For the Rockies to be able to win a ball game after they had just given up how many hits? 1,004 hits? No, I'll actually get the hits number total for you here in just a second. In game 1, the Rockies gave up 20 hits, 13 runs. In game 2 against the Tigers got 6 hits, 2 runs, but those runs didn't come to the bottom of the 9th. That's the big worry part there. But you just couldn't fathom. You couldn't comprehend. You couldn't piece together a Road Rockies win last year, especially in April, mind you, where the Rockies score 3 runs off 3 hits and beat a team on the road. That's just not what happened last year. Instead, the Rockies win that game, and they go on to win yesterday 6-2 after a dominant performance by Austin Gomber. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about him later. But that is how you change the narrative. That is how, like we talked about on Friday, how do you flip the narrative? You take that punch in the gut. You take that punch to the face that you took in game one. You take that immediate blow and you bounce back and you piece together good defensive ball to back up your pitcher and to hold on to a win when you're not hitting the ball all that well, when you're not getting production throughout the lineup, when your big RBI drivers are not hitting that game or not hitting in that series. The Rockies stealing that win from the Tigers was great. Not necessarily stealing, considering they had the lead for most of the game, but the Rockies to hold on up until the end. Up until the end. It is major. The bullpen being just good. It's a long season. We will see moments like the Philly game with this bullpen. However, if they can keep the Rockies in those games, if the Rockies can lean on their pitching, like Adrian is saying in the chat here. Adrian, again, proving if pitching can keep us in games, we can be successful. Yes. The new Rockies offense is going to take advantage, is going to score runs most likely. But it's very comforting when the Rockies win off of a 2-home run day, or in a 2-home run game where it was all thanks to Connor Joe and Charlie Blackmon. Snapping that game, being able to turn to your bullpen and really dominating that team is incredible. It's not really dominating, but holding the Tigers completely scoreless until the bottom of the ninth after they had just given up 13 runs off of 20 hits. That's a positive. That is something you can build on, and that is what carried into Sunday. The Rockies getting strong pitching performance backed up by at least enough timely hitting is why the Rockies are 4-1. Folks, I don't know if you're as blown away as I am by this stat. I knew the Rockies were bad on the road last year. I knew they were historically bad on the road last year. I didn't know their fourth road win didn't come till after May 20th. May 20th, that's another month of baseball in between the Rockies' second and third and fourth road wins. I believe it was May 20th for road win 3, the 24th for road win 4. I mean, if the Rockies were as competitive, quote unquote competitive, and had as much of the as a well, if you look at this and look at that stretch alone, making an improvement and continuing to grind this early part of the season and win those games, win games with 3 hits off 3 runs are so important for the Rockies, especially on the road. Is it sustainable? Can the Rockies do it again? We'll have to see. But the Rockies have not lost a series yet. They've gone out on the road twice and they've won 2 road series. They're going into Philly, a team that also is struggling. They have an immense amount of opportunity in the opening of this season to continue to build on this. And we haven't even seen players reach their potentials yet. We haven't even seen players get into midseason form yet. But that also goes to say for the competition as well. This matters. Timely hitting matters. Good pitching matters. The Rockies being 4-1 to start the year on the road matters immensely. It is a massive step in the right direction. It's a massive step in the way into making sure that you're at least walking the path to relevance, to competitive baseball, to a full season. You can't allow yourself to go get mopped up in Detroit. You can't allow yourself to not go into Philly and take advantage of a Phillies team that is struggling right now, that is frustrated right now. And you can't not come back home and take advantage of 2 other teams that are struggling as well. And for the Rockies to bounce back the way they did this weekend after being blown out in the first game, that's a confidence builder. Not only for fans, but it's a confidence builder for players. And again, we have to talk more about the starting pitching. The starting pitching was essential in the past 2 games. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that make this show possible. And with spring in the air, it's a time of renewal and growth, personally and professionally. As your small business grows, LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. You know LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to get your name out there. And with LinkedIn Jobs, you can create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. LinkedIn it's synonymous with the job application process now. You got to have a LinkedIn profile. Why not have a LinkedIn Jobs account and profile so you can post your jobs to make sure that you are finding the best candidates for you? Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free. Folks, 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn every week. Post your job today at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Not only were the Rockies able to come up with some timely hitting this weekend, if you still look at it in the grand scheme of things, the Rockies did get outscored this weekend. However, the Rockies were able to get the performance from Austin Gomber that we have been waiting for this season, and the performance we need to see consistently from Austin Gomber, because if that is the Austin Gomber the Colorado Rockies are going to get consistently this year, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be special. And if we continue to get what we get from Chad Kuhl right now, the Rockies rotation is not in as bad of shape as we thought. With John Gray heading to the IL twice and Chad Kuhl having 3 starts, right now you can say the Rockies have made the right move. It's April 25th. We are still plenty of baseball to play. We still have the dog days of summer, and there's a lot going on. But right now, you can't argue and you can't take away from the fact that what was my biggest concern going into the Rocky season this year hasn't been as big of an issue, especially because of Chad Kuhl, who has kept it cool. Cool as a cucumber, cool guy, cool hand Chad, whatever you want to call him, and however many cool puns you want to make for the cool guy. It's been incredible. All of these performances from New Look Rockies has brought a refreshing energy into the team and following the team this year. Those who aren't following the Rockies, those who aren't in the know, those who don't know what the Rockies are doing right now are probably continuously surprised at the fact that the Rockies are where they are, thinking that the Rockies, again, I sat in an NL roundtable with my host where I had the Diamondbacks, the Locked On Diamondbacks host tell me that the Rockies were worse than the Diamondbacks this year. There were people online that were putting the Rockies in on the same level as the Orioles and these other teams that are fully rebuilding. That's not what the Rockies did. And so far, it's proving to be at least successful enough. I think this team still has stuff to be worried about. I still think this team doesn't have the same firepower as other teams do. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that we've seen a team that has developed its own new identity, its own personality, its own. I've brought it up a ton. The new era of Rockies baseball. As painful as it has been for fans, we're seeing it. We're seeing a new energy. We're seeing a new look team. We're relying as Rockies fans on Jose Iglesias to make great heads up plays, to be throwing it to Chad Kuhl on third, who needed to cover on a tough play. We're seeing it. I mean, we're relying on Gerchek to hit a 2-run shot and rob home runs and show that he's a bigger athlete than before. Chad Kuhl, a veteran, comes in and has 3 great starts, who's looked sharp. We've gotten to see 15 games of Rockies baseball so far this year. There's a lot more. But it's been refreshing. That series against the Tigers, as bad as it started, it felt refreshing at the end because they came back. They didn't get double shut out. I was it felt like the Rockies might get double shut out. Yes, it was 3 hits. But The Rockies did what they needed to do to win the game, and they were able to rely on players that can pick other players up and make you and fill the voids. We've had rosters with great players and then incredibly mediocre to meh players at best. The Rockies now have a few great players, sure, but they have a lot of good players filling out their lineup, creating a more dynamic attack for the Rockies this year. With the use of the DH, with the fact that the Rockies made some changes, and with the performances we've seen from new face Rockies like Gerchek, like I'm still Connor Joe, honestly, because it's still new, and of course re-signing CJ Cron. Chris Bryant hasn't even left the yard, but he's contributed. Charlie Blackmon's coming back. That makes it a little bit easier, gets you a little bit more excited, and helps you forget about some of the kind of worrisome trends that we have with the Rockies. What the heck are we going to do with Brendan Rodgers? Still early. Still a lot going on. But my main takeaway is this new look Rockies team has provided us something. At least the excitement is justified. The hope is justified. We still need to continue to maintain expectations and still be upfront and honest about this roster and the way it's constructed. But the moves the Rockies have made, the players that have needed to make impacts have made enough impacts. Will they continue? We'll see. Because if those players start cooling off, that's time for the players that have started slow to get into their swing. And if the Rockies can ride the momentum, ride the wave, use the depth and the interesting roster that they have, weird but fun. We've seen that on Twitter. You've seen people tweeting it out. Weird but fun. If the Rockies can navigate and manage the flow of being weird but fun, they can, who knows what can happen. Beating teams, going out on the road, beating teams like Detroit, going into Philly. That's when we're going to continue to see and learn about this team in these early series, because the Rockies could easily fall into the traps of some of these games, some of these series. But this early momentum is not only big for fans, but I think it's big for the players too. I think they want to continue to show that this is their team. This is their club. There's a reason Kyle Freeland comes out and says when he's sitting there 2 days into the season that these are the people he wants to battle with. The Rockies are a club. The Rockies have a good energy. The Rockies have good chemistry. I hope that chemistry can continue to sustain and continue to lead on into more success, because I can sit here and say that I'm surprised. I'm surprised the Rockies are 10-5. I'm surprised the Rockies are 4-1 on the road, and I'm very, very happy to be surprised by this. Let's just hope that it's sustainable. Let's just hope that it continues on. But it feels good to be in this position. I know it's April, but again, I will lap this up as much as possible. It feels good to sit here again, to start another week of this podcast, feeling good about Rockies baseball, looking at the schedule ahead and looking and feeling confident about the Rockies. I think the Rockies can go in and at least split the series with Philly. That's a win. Even better, win the series. But if you keep split the series, win the series, split the series, maybe you drop that one in San Francisco. Split the series, win the series, win the series, win the series, split the series. Who knows? But above all, I've kind of gotten philosophical, I think, in this segment. Above all, to put a bow on this, the Rockies made moves this offseason. The Rockies made changes, and new Rockies are making incredible impacts for this team so far this season. And that should be exciting for Rockies fans. It should be exciting for people who follow this team, and other teams need to realize that the Rockies and fans and everyone else need to realize that the Rockies aren't going to be as much of a pushover as you might think, because Connor Joe's going to get in the stop because this isn't your Rockies team anymore. I think a lot of teams continue, they have this idea and fans, they since you don't follow the Rockies, you don't know that, well, yes, they lost all these big names. They don't know that Connor Joe has the longest hitting streak in the NL right now. MLB is not going to put the MLB doesn't put the league leader in home runs on their top 10 hitters in baseball right now because it's the Rockies. Because CJ Cron doesn't have the Nolan name, doesn't have the Chris Bryant name. Jose Iglesias comes out and sneakily throws out some couple big hit games. Charlie Blackmon's been heating up and swinging it and making huge impacts. It's early. I want to continue to keep my expectations in check. But keep sleeping on the Rockies. That's going to be a mistake. Let's take a look at, hey, we got some people here. I see you. If you got some questions for the live chat, why don't you drop them in there? I'd love to take your questions here before we talk a little bit about the Phillies again, and just want to go over some of the lines from our pitchers as well in the last two games before we dive into the Phillies series. But we're streaming live on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel where you can join us. We usually have more consistent time, but I'm letting our friends at Locked On Nuggets. It's kind of a big deal going on with the Nuggets, right now. So they come in and they're doing some stuff in the morning sometimes. So our schedule kind of fluctuates a little bit, but it's baseball. We got a bajillion games, so we'll get on that consistent schedule. But hey, if you like the show, subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, and you can join in on the live chat like Adrian did, and lots more people have in the past. But there's other fine people that help make this show possible, like Built Bar. And listen, folks, the sun is shining. Spring is here. The warmth is coming. You're going to be back to hiking, biking, walking the dog, taking the kids a million, different places, wherever you got to go. Have a good snack with you. And that starts with Built Bar. Built Bar are the protein bars that are covered in 100% real chocolate. And you're like, whoa, 100% real chocolate. That's got to be a sugar factory. Well, here's the deal. That's not how Built Bars work, because most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. You can see the macro charts for yourself at Built.com. And when you're there at Built.com, you can see all the delicious flavors, all the options, and all the wide variety of product that they have available at Built.com. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, low carb. Built Bar is the snack for you, because I know you're going to be running around this summer, this spring, sports practice or just events, everything. Stay fueled up with Built Bar. And when you go to Built.com today, I'll save you a little bit of money with the promo code LOCK15. Use that promo code LOCK15 and you're going to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Promo code LOCKed15 for 15% off at Built.com. Okay. I had a deep breath, especially after that little cough there. Yeah, the big worrisome trend, too, I want to dive into the pitcher line, too, but Alan Trejo has played now 2 games in a row. Brendan Rodgers has been removed from the lineup as of now. Something we're going to have to keep our eyes out. Brendan Rodgers has played some good defense, but continues to be, at this stage and right now, a liability at the plate in terms of his offensive performance. But they're going to have to turn to him again. He's going to get more chances. There's plenty of baseball left to be played. So I don't want to dwell too much on that, because Brendan Rodgers getting the Rockies being successful while Brendan Rodgers is down, it could mean that the Rockies need him to step it up when they're seeing a CJ Cron dip, a Chris Bryant dip, or Connor Joe. Some of these other players that are starting off that are hitting the ball well right now. The Rockies are going to need Brendan Rodgers to step up to keep the things afloat and keep things moving in the right direction for the club. So we're going to keep our eyes on that as the lineups continue to come out. But yes, Alan Trejo getting back-to-back starts this weekend for the Rockies, something to keep in mind. Austin Gomber goes 6 innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. Man, was that curveball working as well. That thing is a beauty. I love a good curveball. When a curveball is on, and it's up there with a slider, that they are just so entertaining to watch. And that was vintage. That was a Gomber that we've seen flashes of, and that's the Gomber that's why you say, you make your trade, and he was the centerpiece of the big piece. But it's that consistency we're looking for, but we can see it. If this start is the start of Gomber getting into his rhythm, his flow, and he's able to use that curveball to his strength, it's going to be great for the Rockies. The Rockies got a great bullpen performance, out of Kinley. Kinley again has been great. Robert Stevenson and Alex Colomé, it's not working out too well for Colomé, at least in that start, almost blowing the game there. A walk, 2 earned runs with 2 hits. Can't be doing that when you've had them on the ropes the whole time. You got to come in, shut the door. But Tyler Kinley has been nails out of the bullpen so far this season. Robert Stevenson, 2 walks and a strikeout there for him as well. Not the best time for that. Feel bad for Lucas Gilbreth having to keep come in these pretty tough situations for him to get going after coming back from the IL. He faced a ton of traffic in that when he came in for Ty Block there in the game 1, and we don't really even need to talk about the pitchers because Senza off. Couldn't miss a barrel. The Tigers were just locked in. But Chad Kuhl goes 4 hits, 1 earned run. He gives up his first extra base hit of the year, I think, last year. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. We'll take that. If Chad Kuhl is going to come out and give you 6 innings, 4 hit ball with 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks is a little tough. I mean, but hey, that's all right. Free base. No walk is a good walk, but that's a Chad Kuhl line. If he can keep giving me that is a great 5th arm. A-okay with me, because Justin Lawrence comes in, a little bit of the control issues there with that walk, gives up the hits. I think Lawrence is just one of those players that we can continue to develop and see, keep giving him opportunities, and we're going to have good things happen, because how fast he can throw the ball and his weird mechanics are going to be a great mix up in the middle of the games. We just got to get him starting to locate the ball better. Tyler Kinley comes in, his nails, gives up a hit and a strikeout. Carlos Estevez comes down and slams the door. See, the bullpen pieces are doing enough. The starters are doing enough. And of course, the Rockies were swinging it well in that game, the game 3 there against the Tigers, scoring right off the bat with Connor Joe. The Blackman getting involved, Connor Joe having another hit, Charlie Blackman having 4 hits on the day. Charlie Blackman saying, "Hey folks, don't forget about me." That's what I'm saying, Chuck. I know you played right field in that game, but I'm just saying, we know you can swing. That's what we love about you. All in all, folks, the momentum continues. The energy is good. It's good to be a Rockies fan right now. Don't ignore the warning signs that you feel about this team. Don't ignore what happened in game 1 in the first one either. But hey, Rockies are 10-5 and 4-1 on the road, and they didn't have 4 road wins until the middle of May last year, end of May last year, and that is improvement. It's a good sign for the Rockies. Again, if the momentum continues, if they can go out and have success in Philly, keep building. The theme right now for the Rockies is keep building on this momentum. You are 5 games above 500. Keep it that. Avoid the dreaded stretch. Build ahead of the NL West, because there's I think 4 or 5 teams, I thought, with 10 wins in baseball right now, and 3 of them are in the NL West. Take advantage of every non-divisional opportunity you have against teams like Detroit, like Philly, like Washington, like Cincinnati. Beat those teams. It's gonna make it feel better. It's gonna build confidence, and it's gonna make tough stretches against the division better as well. Folks, that's going to do for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. I want to thank you so much for listening to the show. Go check out Locked On Now or Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day, so you can stay up to date with all things in the world of sports and the world of Major League Baseball. You can also follow all your favorite Colorado major men's sports with the Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, and Nuggets podcasts. You can go or check all of those out as well. The Nuggets staying alive. Broncos every day is one day closer to Russell Wilson playing a real live football game. And of course, the Avalanche losing streak right now, but playoffs still on the horizon. Can they get it right? All wonderful hosts breaking down everything Colorado sports for you, because we're going to keep breaking down the Colorado Rockies right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Again, thank you for checking out the show. Thank you to Adrian for popping into the live chat today. And please go subscribe to that YouTube channel, folks. It's a massive help to me if you subscribe to Locked On Rockies on YouTube. But hey, we're free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. Wherever you go, you can take the Locked On Rockies podcast with you. Until next time, folks, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies